Let's go! If we could address you directly right now.
Everything comes full circle.
That's number one.
I don't tell him what questions to ask me.
There are a lot of people around town that have the same question.
Brush my teeth. I'm a good wash in the morning.
I can't confirm or deny.
You know, just keep going a little bit longer here, Mike. Keep going a little bit longer.
You know what I love, Steve? Being a jerk.
Listen, dude, we've been doing a show for 90 minutes.
If I had a chance to listen to the last call, we game plan for PJ Hall.
Uncle.
I have a list of guys I would never hang out with. Your name is right on the top.
Do you like the worst song bracket we're doing?
It's considerably better than the supplement bracket. Let's start with that.
I won a limbo contest.
Oh, my God.
Fran Brown joining us.
These guys are working their butts off. They expect to see their fans.
You want extra money just because you're North Carolina? I'm in all right
What
now.
an honor for you and Jordan to be next to me.
Every day.
This is Orange Nation.
There's music, there's fun, there's us. It's everything you could want all in one place.
With Stephen Fonte and Paulie Sibilia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to have you with us alongside Paulie Sibilia. I'm Stephen Fonte. It's a Thursday edition of Orange Nation. We've got the offensive coordinator of the SU men's lacrosse team, Pat March, joining us at 12:30. Our good friend Jackson Roberts, MLB writer for the Sporting News, 1 o'clock. Plus, we'll mix in your phone calls
Maybe
at any
we'll
time.
Talk about the team with the best record in baseball today.
Yeah, how about that?
Not Virgie, though.
315-437-7644. At what point does it become Virgie? August?
When they win the World Series. I will never let myself get Virgie. I've had too much heartbreak.
Anything happened yesterday?
No. WTLA AM radio station was credited a lot around the nation, Steve, for the interview we did with Fran Brown.
Where did that come? I wonder how somebody linked to WTLA.
Our two schlubs, us two schlubs, had Fran Brown on, and it was all over the AM radio, apparently.
It was.
I was laughing because, like, I credit to him for finding WTLA because I barely even know that's the most 1950s way of referencing a radio station. Like, you call it ESPN Radio Syracuse or Sunny 102 now.
Sure, right.
But, yeah, it was funny. No, but it was all over. And you know what stood out to me is his take on things was very businesslike. And you know what? Being a paid athlete now, getting critiqued by your coach that way is way more acceptable than it was before. Jim Boeheim was doing it when people were playing for free. But, you know, what Fran Brown said is fair game now, I think, because he left for money. It wasn't or a better QB, you know. So it's a business now, and if you can't take the heat, then he led with. I like the kid, and I'll wish him well as soon as the season's over, which makes me think he's going to an ACC school. But it is a business now, and you know what? You got to take that part of it with it.
Yeah, and he did say that multiple times, right? That he still thinks highly of him, and good kid. He's going to do well. But I think he's I think he's irritated, and I understand why, and I get both sides of this. Like I understand that, and we've talked about this with when Jesse Edwards left. We said this could be the biggest contract or deal that he has playing basketball for the rest of his life. And the same thing could hold true for Trevor Payne. I know some people are saying, well, maybe he can make the NFL. Maybe. But there's no guarantees. And I would say that the chances of him making the NFL are less than those of him not making the NFL. And so this is his last chance to earn a lot of money. I get it. At the same time, he was getting taken care of here. And he wanted more, and it was within Fran Brown's right and SU's right to say, you know what, we're good.
How do we refer to NIL a lot, Steve? There's a term we use with what's going on in NIL right now, and people call it the wild, wild west a lot. And the only way it's going to get fixed is if people start drawing a line in the sand, and we saw Tennessee do it. And you heard Fran Brown yesterday say, "Look, I'm not paying people more than my coordinators, all of them." You know. So it's the only way to stop it from going this way is if people start standing up to it. And I think this was a case where Syracuse and Fran Brown stood up and said, "That's too much. We wish you the best."
I was literally having this conversation with my dad earlier today. We were talking about it, and it does feel like in some ways guys look at what they have and they say, okay, well, this is the worst I can do. Now I'm going to go see if I can get more, whether it's in my current school or it's somewhere else. And to your point, the only way that, the only deterrent to that, one of the only deterrents to that is for a coach or a team or a school to say, we're not going that far. Enough is enough. We have a limit. We've reached our limit, and if you want to go elsewhere, then go for it and see what you can get.
And we saw it work in baseball, for a little bit, where they were like, all right, there were a couple years ago players were not signed going into the actual start of the season because they were asking for too much money, and that's the only way it's going to get fixed, because the NCAA is not going to do anything until there's laws made and everything. The only way you're going to stop the money from getting out of hand is by saying no to it.
Right. And it is unregulated for the time being. And as long as it is, I think you're going to continue to see this. I have no issue with anything that was said yesterday during that interview. And, again, I understand Trevor's side of it, too, that he's worried about his future. Like, this is his life. He's got, one last year to cash in, before he's out of college eligibility, and he's trying to take advantage of that system as so many would. So I get both sides of this. Now, you brought up the point about, Trevor being named a captain in December, and that it feels a little bit different because it sounds like, listen, he had a great year. It sounds like they had told him around that time, we're going to bump you up. This is what you're going to get. You'll be a captain. Sounded like everybody was on the same page. And then somewhere along the lines, recently, it sounds like it changed.
And a lesson has been learned by probably Fran Brown in this, too, is that you probably shouldn't announce your captain until after the, closer to the season starting.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right. And it may be important to some. It may be less important to others. And it seems like it was less important to Trevor Pena than others. And, Fran brought up a couple names in our interview yesterday, like a LaQuint Allen, who, he took that job of being a captain and being a leader very seriously and felt like this was, his offense to some degree. And was a key piece to the puzzle last year. So it's unfortunate how this whole thing played out, but it is what it is, as they say. And, everybody moves on from it.
In our chat right now, everybody is using this word tampering. Like there's no stopping that right now. They can't reach out to the player. They can talk to their agent at any time. There's got to be rules made, and the only way you find out that you can get more money is if somebody tells you. Right, or ask for it.
Right.
So, and you've got it. I don't blame the other schools if you need a receiver and there's one that you see that you could pay more than they're getting at their current school. You tell them, hey, look, they're open for business right now, and it's in a time period when you can do it.
The dollar amount that Fran Brown mentioned yesterday, did that dollar amount, you think it was arbitrary?
I thought it was arbitrary. The more you and I talked yesterday, I don't know. But if Trevor Pena was asking for $2 million, kick rocks, right? Like, Syracuse can't pay a slot receiver $2 million.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my feeling.
I thought it was arbitrary because I thought it was... He was referring to, he said there's some kids out there looking to make that.
Correct. Right. So I don't know if he was referring to Trevor or not. But
I don't think he wasn't. If that's what he asked, I don't blame them for saying no.
Yeah. But then again, like, we've got to know Fran a little bit, and I don't know that he came up with that number out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I thought he was using it in reference to a.
He specifically talked about the receiver position.
And now that I think about it, he also said, I don't want to pay a kid more than all of my...
Right.
That was before that.
Correct. Yeah.
So maybe he did.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was That was eye-opening to me, the fact that he used that particular dollar figure. And you're right, he did say that earlier about
I'm not paying somebody more than all of my coordinators make.
Right. So, again, everybody's got to have a line and, and a limit. And it sounds like Trevor Pena, went past SU's limit.
And hopefully when the settlement passes, with that $22 million that the schools are going to be allotted to pay players, along with that comes contracts.
Right.
Right now, the contracts aren't with the schools, and there's nothing you can really do.
Correct. Right. Yeah, again, it's unfortunate because it seems like in December everything was fine and everybody was on the same page about the arrangement and everybody was happy. And then by the time April rolls around, that wasn't the case anymore. I did think it was interesting, too, that Fran dropped this in yesterday and said, I kind of saw this coming. Something along those lines where he said, I saw this.
I think every coach sees it coming. Unless you're one of the big boys, you see this coming. It's going to happen.
Oh, I'm talking about with Trevor in particular.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you got to be ready for it. Like, you're going to lose players. We saw it with Malik Brown, not recruited highly, has one good year, and Duke comes a-calling, and you're gone.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
And it did happen. And now he's got, some extra dollars to deal with. As he said, some of the current players are like, hey, spread some to me.
The Malik Brown one was interesting because he took the exact same, if not a lesser role, to go to a bigger program, which he must have known was happening. But also this year he might be their starting four.
Right.
So,
yeah,
you never know.
And it's hard to argue with what he did. I mean, they went to the Final Four and had a really good chance to win a national title, and he was a key piece to that team.
I'm not puffing you up, and I say this all the time. Syracuse ain't Duke.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. And so it did. And it'll be interesting to see where Trevor lands and if we learn the dollar figure.
Yeah. The other thing I thought, I said this jokingly to you and Jordan last night. I pray this kid didn't overstep his hand. I hope he's not holding a pair of twos and thinking he pulled one and he got told to kick rocks. Right. If that analogy makes sense, I hope he wasn't bluffing.
Yeah, right. Well,
I hope he's got a legitimate offer that was more money and he wasn't just trying to get more.
Sounds like that's what happened to some degree at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Now he landed at UCLA, but
I doubt he's making 4.
Right. Correct. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he lands. We know that the name Miami is out there as a school that was interested, and it'll be very curious if he does in fact land there.
Tronic says the assistant coaches are probably all way overpaid because of the establishment infrastructure of not paying players. I can tell you this honestly: Syracuse was notoriously known for not paying coordinators, and I don't know if it's still the case under Fran Brown, but. I doubt Syracuse is probably even a top 20 team when it comes to paying coordinators, but I could be wrong. It might have changed under Fran Brown.
I think a lot has changed. 50, yeah. A lot's changed under Fran Brown. So we don't know that. But you're right. I mean, prior to Fran, I think that was the narrative around the SU football program is that they didn't pay assistants well.
All right, and one important question, Steve, before we go to our first break. Not Paulie Sibilia, not me. It's not Paulie Sibilia has a question. What's better, Diet Pepsi or McDonald's Coke? I only do Diet, and this is crazy because I drink Diet Pepsi only. But McDonald's Diet Coke is better than any Pepsi you can get anywhere.
And why is that, Paulie?
I don't know. It's the water they use. It's the bubbles. But McDonald's Diet Coke is the best soft drink ever made. Anything that comes out of that fountain, delicious.
So they're...
The high C... Anything that comes out of that,
I got you.
Anything that comes out of that filthy, gross fountain that they never cleaned, delicious.
So you only drink Diet Pepsi, but you love the Diet Coke at McDonald's.
Yeah, because I'm not like that guy who's like, can I get a Diet Pepsi? They're like, we don't serve that. Okay, well then I'm leaving.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, there's something about that filthy fountain that makes everything good. It's like fresh. The ice cream machine.
It's fresh Diet Coke.
Yeah. It's like right from the udder.
All right. I'm not sure why we're talking soda here, but let's take a time out.
The chat wanted to know.
The chat wanted to know. All right. We could have discussed that.
It doesn't matter. I'm a man of the people, Steve.
315-437-7644. We got 15 minutes before we bring on Pat March. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.
It's the fresh mold.
The transfer portal in college basketball is open.
Yep, an adventure into the totally unknown.
Listen here for the latest Orange basketball comings and goings.
That was a brilliant
on ESPN Syracuse.
Come see why it's gotta be Nye. Hi, I'm Dan Sherrick, general manager of the Nida Motor Group in Nida and Rome. Spring is finally here, and what a winter it was. I am so glad to put that behind us. That being said, my inventory has piled up almost as much as the snow this year, so I've instructed my team to plow through it fast. We are discounting new and pre-owned vehicles like crazy at Nye. We also have our new budget car lineup, which is basically cars that have gone through our shop with a 150-point inspection process to ensure they are great, affordable vehicles. These are typically higher mileage vehicles that most new car dealers are afraid to sell. Well, I'm here to tell you that we stand behind what we sell, and we make it easy for Southern New York to feel confident with their purchase. Sure, you can shop on social media sites, but 9 times out of 10, you get bit after the sale with no recourse. Shop our selection of budget cars that range from under $10,000, under $20,000, whatever the case.
For God's sakes, who cares? Brian, I need your state-run media open. Don't yell at me, Pastor Tim. It's on the button bar? Okay. Good. My opinions are trash. I hear it every day. Someone commented on the video of the... I laughed. On the video of the interview on YouTube. And it said, finally something good from the show. I don't know why that was so funny to me. And I wrote, and I responded, well, his name was like, Let's Go Mets. And I said, well, if anybody knows about sucking, it's a Mets fan. Thank you, LA Orange. I seriously laughed at that comment for fucking 5 minutes. Where's Higgins freaking... I'm going to steal Brian's bit.
Should I start reaching out to SU guys who have counter views on the fan view?
Yeah. I'd love to hear from any of them. I just met Justin. I just met Justin Pugh. Like,
you met him?
Yeah, last week. I didn't know I needed to get his phone number because he.
Didn't you use phone number?
What?
Why do you use phone number?
Because he would be one of the good ones to have on.
He told us like a few months back to come on and then stopped answering. But I've been trying to get him on. I actually messaged him like a few days ago.
You know, Adam Weitzman retweeted Adam Weitzman retweeted that.
I don't, but I think we do collectively at Channel 9. As you know, I have a new phone, but let me see if Mario has it.
There's zero chance you are able to copy your phone, your contacts over to your phone.
Many contacts.
There's zero chance. After what I just witnessed before the show started.
Save. I don't know if your phone does it. What I do is you can choose to save it to your phone or save it to your Google account. I save all my contacts to Google so that when I get a new phone, I can just...
He could just make a donation, and it would probably get him back to the table.
Say we should try to get Adam on?
Yeah, for at least them or us.
I could try. I mean, I've almost successfully done it 3 times before.
Steve didn't know how to copy and paste a link for somebody.
No.
Wait, what? No, that's exactly
Twitter, I know
happened.
how to copy and paste the link, like if I'm emailing it. I didn't know how to tweet it. It's different, right?
No, you just copy and paste it.
The only difference is you hit tweet.
Yeah, one's on Twitter and one's in an email. It's the exact same process.
Okay. Well, I haven't done that.
I'm not trying to be mean with you. Argue it, the funnier it is.
And the way you said it was like, no, that's not what I... Yeah, that was exactly what you did.
Turning my jaw laughing.
Oh, snap. Here we go.
97.7, 100.1, 1200 AM.
a.m. and 1440 a.m. Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
Doing the first 7 hip-hop songs to ever hit the Billboard chart. I don't know if you can make this song today, but it's Apache.
Do you know, what do you think of?
The Fresh Prince of
Prince, yes, of course. All right, good.
Yeah. They had 3 of the top 7, so I went 8, and it only took 2 of their songs, the Sugar Hill Gang. But this is a banger. They play this at the Dome every once in a while.
Yeah, I can't listen to that without seeing Carlton.
Very much a
Will
cultural appropriation song, as they would say, in 2025. Let's talk to Chuck in North Syracuse about the portal, Steve.
All right. Chuck, how are you today?
Good, Steve. One question, 2 questions, actually. The portal, when they go into the portal and they don't get picked up, can they go back to the school where they, came from? Like,
if the school wants them back,
to Syracuse.
Yeah, so that it is yes. The short answer is yes. That is allowed. We don't see it a lot because usually the school has moved on, and there's got to be mutual interest.
Yeah, I would assume that bridge has been burned.
We saw it with John Bull.
Yeah,
a couple of years ago, John Bull put his name in and decided to come back. Anyway, go ahead.
What about their credits? Are their credits all transferred to new schools?
I mean, I think that's a case-by-case basis with the schools, but I think that's the idea and the hope.
Yeah, it makes it harder for some schools. Like, here I am again defending Syracuse. Syracuse, Notre Dame, Virginia, I know for a fact, it's much harder to transfer into those schools because of the academic standards. And he just hung up. He doesn't care about what he has.
No, he's listening. He's listening.
Do not
he just had nothing more to say.
Normally, the person says, first time, last time, I'll hang up and listen. He just hung up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that is the hope, and some of it depends on when you transfer too. At this stage, the semester's essentially over. I mean, there's a week left in the semester before final exams, so hopefully the guys have taken care of their schoolwork and whatnot, and those credits will transfer. But yes, you can go back as long as you want to go back and the school wants you back. But a lot of times, coaches will move on.
Syracuse got a kid out of the transfer portal for basketball yesterday, Steve, and I saw nothing positive. Like, Syracuse's basketball fan base is toxic right now. It's brutal, and I don't know why everybody is so angry with it. What was the first thing you thought when you saw this this signing of Bryce Zephyr out of whatever state it is, Montana? Yeah, I don't even know that was a school.
My first thought was they're signing him for depth. It was like okay.
Yeah, I am going to steal a bit from Brian right now. Is that okay?
Sure.
The following is a message from your friendly Syracuse state-run media.
They got a 6'4", big, thick guard, Steve, out of the portal, who will probably see minimal minutes.
Yes.
If he does get minutes, things probably have gone bad, like I said about Kyle Cuff. But he's 6'4" and physical. And hopefully other players on the floor can score if he is playing. And they've got a defender on the opposing guard that can maybe keep him in front of him in that situation. Also, during practice, they now have a 6'4", big, thick guard guarding
Nate Kings,
yeah, Cayenne Anthony.
Right.
It makes the team better and deeper. You're not getting a 5. You're not. Syracuse isn't building a team of 15 starters on scholarship, guys. I'm sorry to explain that to you.
Right. So, along those lines, we heard Fran Brown yesterday say that they're looking for a linebacker and another quarterback to add depth. So whoever they land as this quarterback, more than likely, is not going to be a splash signing. It's going to be a signing for depth, right? It's going to be, most likely, it's not going to be somebody that excites you. And that's kind of what I took last night's news as, that it was like, okay, it's a signing for depth.
As a fan base, I say this, and I got caught by my own words. I said something about Chris Bell's performance at Syracuse, and I forgot what I say. The players, the families, and the friends see this. Syracuse is a small town. Syracuse needs people to transfer in, and there's the things they're saying about this kid. You don't know,
right?
And he's not coming here to drop 40 a night,
right?
He's coming here to add depth.
Yes, right. Would it be better if you just didn't use those scholarships? Right? No, you want to sign guys, and you want to make practice competitive and have some depth in case you need it. And he's a veteran guy, right? He's played 5 years, and he's got size, as you said. And so, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think he's a game changer, but you want to round out the roster.
He might be a guy. You know what's something that stuck out to me? Remember when Syracuse won a national title? You know who wasn't?
I do remember. Yeah.
You know who wasn't on the floor at the end of the game because of his
Jerry McNamara?
Correct.
Yeah.
They had a guy they could put out there that could keep people in front of him named Billy Elin. You might want that in lockdown situations at the end of the game.
Right.
It might be a good depth piece.
Clip that for next March and April.
That he's not here anymore. Jerry McNamara could have played defense as a freshman. Why don't you worry less about the fan base and more about hot seat Red's performance? Yeah, Red's gonna get fired if he doesn't win. I don't know much more I can say about it. Is that okay? Is that equal, fair and balanced? If Red doesn't win this year, he's going to get fired. Fair and balanced. There, I've now attacked the fan base and Red. Does that make you feel better?
Feel better now? Do you feel better?
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was the first thing I thought was they've got a big guard now that they can throw in at the end of the game. Maybe they're in there pressing.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts you. I don't know how much it helps you, but it certainly doesn't hurt you.
Well,
so
there's guys on the bench in the NBA.
Correct. No, I know. You're preaching to the choir. They need to fill out their roster, and they probably
the walk-ons are basically extinct now.
Right, and you've gotten to the point where you've signed all of your key guys for the I think they've signed all their key guys. I think what you're going to see from here on out is additions for depth.
Yeah, and I think they could get one more piece that moves the needle, but there's not. There's not
it's
a lot.
It's going to be hard to find.
Yeah, there's not a lot of openings for it.
Right. It's going to be hard to find. And
I think they will find it.
And this signing doesn't hurt you. He's got 1 year left. So he's going to be here for a year. He does what as you just said, maybe at the very least, practice player, good defender, has size, veteran who's played a lot of college basketball. He's here for 1 year, and then he moves on, and that roster spot opens up, and you give it to somebody else. So this isn't like you're committing 2 or 3 years to a guy that you don't think is necessarily going to see a lot of minutes or significant minutes. It's 1 year, and he's a depth piece.
Yeah, you don't need to just poop on him as soon as he's coming in.
Agreed. Okay, let's take a timeout. We're going to switch gears, talk lacrosse on the other side. Offensive coordinator of the Orange, Pat March, joins us next on ESPN Radio.
Not Paulie Sibilia could be meek because he's very funny. He's quoting Yakov Smirnov.
You don't know who it is, though?
No. How would I not know?
Oh.
Yeah, Cheryl, I think they'll get one more. It could be him. Yeah, I doubt. Thank you. I'm probably way more handsome than you are.
You can pick it up next Tuesday if it's ready by then. At all Ryan Phelps Auto Sales locations, you'll be in your new ride the same day. Our frontline vehicles are retail.
Oh, now if that's the case, Ryan Mullen, he'll be banned.
With 3 locations in New York, we have
Oh, Mike was here yesterday, and I didn't even ask him about the damn bird bracket. I boss moded Mike yesterday, and he didn't like it.
What was the problem?
He was standing in the middle of the building, spinning a basketball on his finger. And I said, get to work. Ooh, Boo Birds. Didn't even think of them. I don't like having to be a boss. Sometimes. I wish I was like Rick Gary and Gomez. And I just come to a show and make millions of dollars and go home. They're talking wrestling in our chat. It's WrestleMania weekend. Should we have someone on to preview it? I could get Not Sam to come on. Sam Roberts. Your wife's friends with him.
My wife is friends with him?
Yeah. Because don't you remember I commented on one of his posts and you were like, oh, right. Kim knows him. And I was like, yeah, he used to be my producer.
That's right.
All right, let me reach out to Sam. I'll do it right now. I don't know if this is still his phone number. I'll see if he can come on and preview it or review it. Hey, it's Paulie. Long time no talk. What?
Coach March is on. Yeah, I think we're going to have Chadwick at 1 tomorrow. Now with the draft and just the pool stuff. Let me talk to him. Let me just nerd out wrestling the day before Mania. I will warn you, and this is bad because it gives Steve time to do research. I want to play basically the match game tomorrow, but you guys just pick who wins all the WrestleMania matches, but like with no context. Like, okay, guys, El Grande Americano and Rey Mysterio. Ooh, I know Rey Mysterio, but I do love.
If this isn't Sam, this text is going to be really weird.
Kind of figured we were going to get some more Bayheim's Army announcements.
Imagine getting somebody's that famous's phone number after they had it, and you would just get stupid messages like that all the time.
Or you could just mess with them. Be like, yeah, like I charge $5 an interview. Just Venmo me. It's at like David Marshall.
Do you know this song, Steve? It was the third rap song to hit the Billboard charts. Sorry. It's by one Deborah Harry, Blondie.
I mean, maybe when
it's called,
say something, I'll recognize
It's called Rapture. And you know who raps in this song? Fab Five Freddy.
Is that right?
Yes. You never heard Rapture before?
No, I think I have heard this, yeah. The music didn't sound. Yeah, yes, I've heard the vocals before. Yes. Yes.
It's not great, but it was a #1 song too.
Is that right? I have heard this before.
Her and Fab Five Freddy.
All right, that is a blast from the past. What was that, like in the 70s?
1980.
1980. Okay. All right, that was before the time of our next guest, as we welcome in the offensive coordinator of the SU men's lacrosse team, Pat March, joining us now. Pat, great to have you on. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's we'll kind of put the Cornell game to bed, and then we'll move on. But let's start with last Saturday. So many people looking forward to it. Top 5 showdown between two of the best teams in the country. What was the difference in that game, the way you saw it, and as a team, what do you guys take away from that contest?
Yeah, I think at least from an offensive perspective, I don't think we shot the ball as well as we probably would have liked. I thought we had a decent amount of opportunities and actually outshot them in the game. So getting that shooting percentage a little bit higher, I thought that was something that they excelled at. They shot the ball extremely well. So I thought that was kind of the big difference in the game, to be honest.
A lot of people are talking about Joey Spallina. I mean, he gets a lot of attention whether, you win or you lose, or he has a lot of points or doesn't have a lot of points. He was coming off a game in which he played awesome against Notre Dame, 4 goals, 1 assist, against one of the best, defenders in the country. And then against Cornell, only took 4 shots. And, a lot of people were wondering, was that by design? Was it something that Cornell did? Was it a game planning type situation? I guess, can you speak to Joey's performance on Saturday and what Cornell did to, they were able to limit him, obviously?
Yeah, I don't think that they slid off of him particularly. And, I think the difference between the Notre Dame game and the Cornell game and defensive strategy is Notre Dame was more willing to slide off of him with Sean Light, or at least have Sean Light kind of get into the sliding process and maybe lose him a little bit off ball. Cornell didn't really slide to us a ton at the beginning of the game. I actually thought we had some good opportunities to score some unassisted goals, and we just didn't kind of cash in on those. But no matter what, it's always 6 guys out on the field, not one. It's team offense. We have a lot of different weapons we're able to use, and whether it's, initiate with this guy and have this guy finish on the backside, and I think that's part of what makes us dangerous is we're able to use guys in different roles.
Just one more on Joey Spallina. You look at what he's been able to accomplish, in his 3 years, but certainly this season. I mean, he's 6th in the country in points right now. He's got 27 goals, 34 assists. You've worked with a lot of great players over the years. What makes Joey Spallina so special?
Yeah, I think the thing with Joey is he's just a lacrosse rat, and he's kind of a chameleon and can do a ton of different things, whether it's play the off-ball position or pick the ball up off the end line and dodge a little bit. He's incredible in the 2-man game. He spent some time in Canada, so he's improved his game on the wing. He's a pretty good player with both hands, left and right. So he's just a very, very dangerous player, and one that you always have to account for when you're game planning for us.
As you said, there's 6 guys out there. It's not just him, and you've gotten a lot of contributions from a lot of guys this year. And as an offense, you're 5th in the country right now in scoring, averaging just about 15 goals per game. How would you kind of assess to this point in the season, Coach, how the offense has performed? Kind of evaluate that side of the field if you could.
Yeah, pretty good. I think a stat that we look at is offensive efficiency, which is the amount of times we score per possession or possessions in a game. And we score at almost 40% a clip. So 40% of the time we have the ball, we're gonna put the ball in the back of the net, which is exceptional. Actually, I think it ranks 3rd in the country in that. So the good thing about us is we're able to use a lot of different guys, and we share the ball. Like I said before, 6 guys out there on offense. We probably run at least 9 deep, if not 10 or 11 deep. And we have a lot of different guys they're set on sharing the ball and doing what it takes to put the ball in the back of the cage, not necessarily personally what they need to do to be out there, but what the unit needs to do. So we've had contributions from everybody, whether it's the first midfield line and Michael Leo, Sammy English, and Luke Roa. The attack's been great. We've had different guys in there. I think offensively we've had some injuries this year, so we've rotated the lineup a little bit, and guys have kind of just stepped up, and it's been the next man. A guy like Tyler Cortez has been great on the second line since he's kind of stepped up and been there, and it's been great. So a ton of different guys doing different things. It's been awesome this year.
How about the spark that Peyton Anderson has provided you guys of late?
Yeah, Peyton's another guy. He's an extremely athletic, dodging threat. He's something different than we've had at attack, the way we started it. I think Finn Thompson's a little bit more of a different player. And then you got Peyton Anderson coming in at attack. Finn and Trey Deere probably similar, but Peyton is a guy that can come in and he can win his individual matchup, dodge hard to the cage, and has good vision too. So he's been great as he's matured through his freshman year.
I asked you about Joey Spallina, who leads you guys in assists and points. Your leading goal scorer this year is Owen Hiltz, and you look at his career, and he's had to deal with some injuries and in and out of the lineup. Can you speak to, I guess, his growth and maturity as a player, and how he's kind of grown and evolved during his time here at Syracuse to where he is now, which is he's obviously been a very reliable scorer for you guys.
Yeah, Owen's always been an extremely smart lacrosse player. He was when he was at Culver Military Academy. He was when he was a freshman here for us. I think the big step you've seen for him is he's now been able to kind of impart that knowledge onto his teammates. I think him spending a summer playing Senior A with the Peterborough Lakers in Canada and being able to be in a locker room with a lot of other professional lacrosse players and kind of take that feedback from them, he's able to say, hey, look, I can help my team out. It's like they maybe helped me out in the locker room. So he's been a great as a leader on the offensive end of the ball. He's been awesome helping other guys to see different things. And then obviously as an individual player, he's shot the ball extremely well this year and as always really has. He's definitely one of the smartest players that I've ever coached when it comes to lacrosse IQ, and I've coached some pretty smart ones. So Owen's he's a great player, good kid.
High praise there, certainly coming from you. And let's look ahead now, Coach. And it's a road game this weekend at Duke, a team that is 0-2 in conference play, but they've got 4 losses on the season, all to really good teams. They're going to be playing desperate. You know that they're going to be hungry, needing a win at home to kind of keep their postseason hopes alive and whatnot. Speak to the challenge, if you could, of going on the road, taking on a hungry team like that, and obviously a talented team in the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, Duke's a school and a team that gets top level talent recruits. They kind of just bring in one top ranked recruiting class after another. So they're extremely talented, extremely athletic. And anytime you travel in the ACC, it's going to be a tough time, a tough place to play. A lot of the schools, obviously they're going to have support out there, and it's different from being in the Dome. So we look forward to it this weekend. But yeah, Duke's they're extremely talented at both ends of the ball and should provide a good test for us.
I don't need to tell you this, but going into the season, there were, really high expectations, right? Preseason number 2, and everybody's talking about Final Four or bust. And, coming off of those 2 straight losses when you lost to the second one there to Harvard after losing to Maryland, we heard that there was kind of like a captain's being, and the players talked about just removing the pressure and taking it one day at a time and one practice at a time and not thinking big picture. How is the team doing with that as the NCAA tournament now approaches? Do you feel like, psychologically the team is in a good spot right now as the month of May approaches?
Yeah, I think so. I know we've definitely adopted the next play. This game is the only thing that matters. Mindset, control what you can control. And I think we're really focused on Duke this weekend. And there's so many variables when it comes to NCAA tournament and ACC tournament. And I think the biggest thing for us is we control our destiny. If we take care of business and do what we need to do, we'll be where we want to be. So the focus right now is on Duke and controlling what we can.
All right. Great way to look at it. Great mindset. 2 o'clock face-off coming up on Saturday down in Durham, North Carolina. Coach, we always love talking lacrosse with you. Thanks so much for coming out. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
All right, good to see you as well. Pat March joining us on the program. And with that, we'll hit a timeout. Phone lines back open, 315-437-7644. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.
Good job, Steve. Enjoy the break there? Yeah, I was napping. I was trying to find my kicker. I think I found it back airplane days. Think Sam will get back to me during the show? Or is he going to pretend he's going to big time me? Because I haven't talked to him since he was on the Opie and Anthony show.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, he laughs at my Instagram posts every once in a while, and I laugh at his. We follow each other on all social medias, but it's... maybe we should blow him up on Twitter. You guys should all tag him and be like, Paulie Civilian misses you. Come talk wrestling.
Did you watch the Gruden thing with McCord?
No.
I got through like 15 minutes of it. I couldn't finish it. It's good. He really likes McCord. I know he really likes all the quarterbacks he talks to, but it was good. It was informative.
Scam likely. I would like to just read the news once without having a paywall. Especially like when someone puts an actual like important news story. Oh. Active shooter in Tallahassee, 4 hospitalized. Didn't Gruden get canceled? How is he still doing work? Just remember this one, Steve?
I
Jam
do.
on it.
Yep.
Do we get to say wiki, wiki, wiki again? Greatest lyrics of all time. Anything catch your eyes in the world of sports last night, Steve? Besides us, we were the world of sports last night.
Yeah, we yes.
I was on top. That was the pinnacle of my life last night. I've made it.
The show definitely made some news yesterday.
My name didn't get mentioned in one article. The show barely got mentioned in one article, but that was the pinnacle of my life.
Did anything stick out to me last night in the world of sports? Crunch made the playoffs.
Awesome.
Well, we had Lucas Favali on yesterday. We talked about it. They beat Hershey 3-2 just by making it into overtime. They had clinched a spot, but why not win the game as long as and honestly, it is important to win the game because they're trying to, as Lucas mentioned, they're trying to lock up that 3 seed. The way it works in the North Division, 5 make it, 4 and 5 have to play the extra round. They play each other. So the 3 seed gets to avoid that extra round of playing. So they're still in the 3 spot. They clinched their spot.
So it's better to be in a bad division.
Why do you say that?
Because then you could be the 3 spot easier, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if
Like
you're in a
if
bad division, then
like
it
the
gives you a
other-
better chance to get out of the division.
The
but-
other division has like 15, like 6 teams going to the playoffs, and you've only got 3. Right?
Well, they've got 5. It's just
5 in each. I don't know how the AHL works.
So the AHL, it's different for different divisions. It depends how many teams are in the division.
Oh, this is stupid.
So the way it works in the North Division is that 5 make it, and then 4 and 5 play basically like a play-in series.
We
best
could
of
be
3.
talking about birds right now.
You asked if anything caught my eye.
No, you did.
The Crunch made the playoffs.
Yeah, and then I didn't realize that the AHL had some convoluted
So the Crunch
playoff.
I'm going to repeat this because
They're not in
yesterday,
the playoff. You should explain it for the layperson because it boggles my stupid head.
So yesterday you were not listening when I was talking to Lucas. I
Not
know that
listening
for a
now.
fact. So I will repeat this stat. The Crunch have now made the playoffs 7 straight years. The Lightning have now made the playoffs 7 straight years.
The
It is
first time ever?
It is the longest active streak in hockey.
Wow.
For the parent club and the AHL affiliate.
And people love the Lightning here.
They do.
Yeah,
We had this
the
argument
The
once.
Lightning is huge here.
There are plenty of Lightning fans here, yes.
Gaper Bazingo said, if Paulie doesn't understand it, it's stupid. No, I said I'm stupid. I don't understand it. Can you maybe run that? So where is Syracuse right now? In the 3 spot?
They're in the 3 spot.
So they would not
that's where
play,
they want to finish.
You don't want to finish 4 or 5 because then you're in the play-in round.
Got to play
you get a week
round.
off
Gotta
waiting for the other guys to catch up.
Yeah. But more so, you don't want to have to play extra hockey if you don't have to. Yes. A lot of reasons.
Bye week.
Yeah.
Get all your boo-boos fixed. Yell it again. I'm stupid. I say that all the time.
2 games left. They play Utica 2 more times. Once on the road, and then they wrap things up at home against Utica. And
our friends in Utica had not a good year.
No, they're in last place. They've given the Crunch some trouble though. So we'll.
No, it doesn't matter because they're in the playoffs already. But you want that 3 spot,
right?
Steve.
Exactly.
Correct.
You want the 3 spot. Thank you for paying attention. So they're 2 points clear of the Marlies. They're 3 points clear of Cleveland. So they're in good shape right now. You win 1 more game, and you're feeling pretty good about your chances to lock up that 3
Utica's affiliate is the Devils, right?
Sure. Yes.
Thank you. 1 for me.
I'm trusting you.
I'm not stupid on that one.
I'm trusting you.
I'm stupid on a lot of things. Thanks for our friends listening on 96.5 in Utica. ESPN Radio.
Yes, the agreement, a 10-year deal beginning in 2021, 2022. There you go. So they're going to be with the Devils for a while.
Okay. They sold their soul to the Devils.
Anything stick out to you last night, Paulie?
I watched a lot of baseball yesterday. Ohtani smacks the ball. Like he's freakish.
Yeah.
He's good.
He's good. Yes.
I like watching baseball. That was fun. I did that. Bought into a bunch of baseball card breaks yesterday. I spent money I don't have. It was an exciting night.
Yankees won on a Judge homer. Mets lost in extra innings.
Juan Soto is a mess, apparently. Mets fans are melting down.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of headlines about him.
But this is what he does. He goes long periods without hitting, and then he just destroys. He goes from being awful to the best player in baseball in a millisecond. And he'll do it again. He'll be fine.
Very early in the season.
Yes.
Fans want to see the return on investment right away, though.
Oh, you mean like Michael King and Randy Vasquez? Yeah, that's pretty nice. That was good return on investment. Yeah, and then being able to get Dylan Cease for him also. Yeah, that's good return on investment. Good job.
You feeling pretty good about your Padres?
I'm not. I just feel like that was a pretty good trade, trading Juan Soto for 1 year. And
it worked out. It worked out.
So that
Aaron
Judge could drop a ball in the World Series.
It almost worked out very well for both parties.
Yes.
Yankees win the World Series, then this isn't even a discussion.
What do you make of what Soto did, though? Like, you're in Queens, you just left the Bronx, and you're basically saying it was easier to hit in the lineup I was in last year because I had Judge and Stanton and,
Yeah, not a great look.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he threw the Yankees under the bus out the door, so I don't... he's a great baseball player, but let's just say that he doesn't always say the right thing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but I've never seen it like this early in the season. Like, it was easier when you're behind Judge.
Yeah. Well, what does he care? I mean, that's kind of...
But Pete Alonso's ripping the ball off because
that's true.
He's got protection with Soto finally. So it works out both ways.
Yeah. No, it does. And the Mets are playing good baseball. They didn't win yesterday, but they're playing well.
So someone says, hey, we'll take Trent Grisham in that trade too, Paulie. Okay. I don't normally say what about players, Steve, when they're on my favorite team.
You don't badmouth them.
Yeah.
Right.
Or hate them.
Right.
Trent Grisham was as close to me doing it as possible. You can take his 4 home runs. Have him. He's a very good outfielder. Very good. Gold Glove. Very good. You can have him.
All right. Let's take a time out here. We'll stay on time as we'll
talk more. We'll talk to an actual baseball expert next.
Yes. We've got Jackson Roberts, MLB writer for the Sporting News. He will join us. And then we're going to get into the John Gruden QB camp. He taped his segment with Kyle McCord. I got through about half of it. I've not finished it yet, but I watched it late last night after work. It's good stuff. Like and clearly, I know John Gruden loves everybody that he has on, but he clearly loves Kyle McCord.
I'm not big on football right now. I'm sitting here. I always say the Steelers are going to be fine. I don't think they're going to be fine this year.
Got to figure out the quarterback situation.
Would you take Sanders as your starting QB next year? I don't
think so.
Or Mason Rudolph? That's not a good way to go into the season. And you don't have a second rounder, I don't think, so you can't hold. Like, could you? I was thinking maybe you hold out for McCord, but
is he going to be there in the third round? It sounds like
it's
not.
A risk.
It sounds like probably not.
Yeah.
Based on the way his stock has gone up. We shall see. The draft, by the way, starts 1 week from tonight.
And you can catch it all right here on ESPN Radio.
That's right. And the visuals will be on Channel 9.
Yes, there you go,
Steve. You can watch it on Channel 9.
The only place people should know Steve from is from television.
I never said that.
So you lowlifes that are listening to the radio now and don't watch the TV, Steve is from TV.
Oh, my God. All right, let's take a time out. Jackson Roberts joins us next on ESPN Radio.
For all you people that listen to WTLA AM, Steve is on the TV. You're gonna take McCord in the first round. The source told my username Big Poppy that Steve left Bridge Street because it was too hardcore, too edgy for him. I like that shirt. I think I've told you that before. I don't normally. The pink golden bear. I remember. That shirt led us to potatoes.
Oh,
the potato story.
That's right. My little girl graduates from college next month.
Jeez, Steve. Might as well just become a grandpa soon.
Yeah, I know.
After the sale, a company that has been catering to the needs of Central New York since 1986.
Cool.
And don't just dream it.
I'll see you tonight.
New spot from Liverpool Pool and Spa.
Catch the Gary Gate show, and Kayla Trainer won't be there tonight because they'll be playing at CBA tonight.
That's right. The dome is tied up with a massive concert.
Enter Sandman. What's your favorite Metallica song? I just asked Steve what his favorite Metallica song was, and he was like,
Enter Sandman.
There you go.
Dear Spring,
that's all I got.
Ride the Lightning.
Time to drive home a new Toyota Tough Truck.
Fuel.
So come test drive.
Oh, good one, good one. Fade to Black. Whiskey in a Jar. They got a bunch of bangers.
I'll take your word for it.
I am not going to Metallica. I can't afford it.
Over 30 Tundra models available at a wide variety of trim levels.
Master of Pumpkins. I think that's supposed to be puppets, but
for 72 months on that new 45 Toyota Tundra. Convenient leasing available too. Signed, Burdick Toyota in Cicero.
I think Whiskey in a Jar might be my favorite.
Buy or lease your Toyota online 24/7 with SmartPath at BurdickToyota.com. TMS customer cash on new 25 Tundra models subject to vehicle availability. Cannot be combined with other offers. APR offer through.
I think I'm at the age where Metallica would, like, I like their music. I've listened to them. I've bought their albums.
All offers plus tax $197.50.
I think it might be too much for me.
Yeah.
Yes. I make fun of you. I might be like, oh, why is it so loud?
You got some baseball?
Yeah, I got baseball.
Tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Again, sent beat story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said Morocco.
Should we do Metallica this week? When's the concert? Saturday? Do you have Friday? That used to be a thing where we did Artists of the Day because they were coming to Syracuse.
Jim blurted, "Sir, your son Morocco."
We should have done Billy Joel last week before the spring game because he was supposed to come.
Somebody said we haven't done. Someone asked yesterday when's the last time we've done the year, the day of the month.
Oh yeah, I missed that.
We should do that today.
W249EC Mattydale, W261AC Oswego, WTKWHD2 Bridgeport, ESPN Radio.
I was at Pink, Devin. It was a good show. Pink was a good show.
Everybody, if you got what it takes, because I'm Curtis Blow, and I want you to know that these are the breaks.
It's a great song. This is the second song, Steve, to ever hit the Billboard charts from the hip-hop genre. You know what the breaks are? Is when you spend a lot of money on an outfielder and you overreact to him being in a slump to the start of the season, Steve.
Yeah.
We got Juan Soto. Those are the breaks.
Let's bring on Jackson Roberts. I do. Well done. Good transition. MLB writer for the Sporting News. And Jackson, we were talking about Soto in the last segment before you came on. We found the comments that he made recently a little curious about it. It was basically saying it was easier to hit when I was with the Yankees than it is now. It seems like a bold strategy to be saying that this early in his tenure with the Mets. What do you make of those comments?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're the Mets, do you love that Juan Soto is saying these things? Maybe not, but at the same time, like, everyone needs to take a little bit of a chill pill, right? Like, first, he is just stating a fact. Like, Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball. The guy's hitting 400 right now. He's got a 13-something OPS. He just went 10 games without hitting a homer, and it was like not a slump at all. It was actually his stats were getting better, and then he just decides to snap out of it by hitting a game-winning homer last night. So I don't know, like, you got to give credit to Pete Alonso for what he's doing this year. And I don't think Soto didn't do that. I think that was more so like when you're the New York Post and you're interviewing someone and then you put the little quote down in one sentence, you know, it's kind of like it's engagement stuff, right? Like, people are going to run with it all week. And I get that, you know, if you're the Mets, you might not be thrilled to hear Soto talking about the Yankees still, but he was asked about it. And he was asked about, like, what the difference is in hitting in the Mets lineup. So I think it's like, you know, it's going to be water under the bridge soon enough. Certainly Soto is still going to have a great year. His on-base percentage is still 400, even when he hasn't been hitting homers. So I really like where the Mets are at. I kind of really like where the Yankees are at, too. And I think eventually this will all blow over.
You know, you mentioned Pete Alonso. Like, if you ask Pete Alonso the question, how much difference is it with Juan Soto in your lineup? Do you think that's the difference for Pete Alonso?
Absolutely. I think that's a great, you know, equal and opposite way to look at it. Like, Pete Alonso didn't have his best year last year, comes in this year. I sort of wondered, like, you know, how is the new contract going to compare to the old contract in terms of the pressure, you know, because he wanted that, you know, 9-figure deal and it just wasn't there for him last offseason. So does that free you up, or does that, you know, make the pressure even more intense because you're a year older? But I mean, when you're hitting behind Soto, and Judge found this out too last year when he had his best season, even better than 2022, you're just like hitting with guys on base all the time. It's literally it's just a beautiful thing. Like, you've seen this guy work counts in front of you. You've seen everything a pitcher has to offer, and now all of a sudden, you know, you're getting more strikes because as much as they're afraid of you, they don't want to just load up the bases. So, I mean, it's a small sample size, and we've always known that Pete was a little bit better than his numbers last year indicated. But I've still been pretty surprised and impressed by just how good Pete's been so far this year.
It is early in the season. Yankees are atop the AL East. What's the most surprising thing in that division? Is it that the Blue Jays are right behind them, or that the Orioles are 7-10?
Yeah, I think it's the Orioles. I mean, nobody thought the Blue Jays were like terrible, right? And I'm still not convinced that the Blue Jays are like a legit playoff contender. But I think everybody towards the beginning of the season, there was kind of this like last minute surge of Orioles excitement where people were disappointed with the offseason they had, but then they looked at the pitching staff and said, hey, it's not that bad. And this offense is so talented and so young and dynamic that, this team can still be everything they were supposed to be last year. And such a small sample size, like we've been saying, but it hasn't happened yet. They're in last place. The pitching's been a disaster. Zach Eflin getting hurt leaves them in a really bad spot. And like Sagano and Charlie Morton and Kyle Gibson, like when those are your moves right after losing Corbin Burns, it sends a pretty rough message to the fan base that's like, I don't know if we're contenders. I don't know if we're big spenders. And when you have this young core and you don't go out and make the moves that you need to supplement it, it starts to get really frustrating. And I worry they're going to pin the whole thing on Brandon Hyde too and fire him instead of, going further up the ladder with it.
I'm not sure Paulie's going to ask you about his favorite team, so I will do it. Nice. Padres have the best record in baseball right now. And you look at that division, Padres are 15-4, but they're only a game and a half clear of the Giants and Dodgers. It's super early. I get that. Everybody just assumed the Dodgers were going to win that division. Do you think the Padres could be like a legitimate division title contender, World Series contender, or do you think when the dust settles and after they play 162 games, the Dodgers are going to be able to win that division and win it handily?
It's given me major 2021 vibes so far, where it was sort of just assumed that the Dodgers would win the whole thing or win the division that year. And the historic season from the Giants was enough to beat them by one game. And then they promptly play each other in the playoffs and the Dodgers win anyway. So I'm certainly not saying that the Dodgers are destined to beat the Padres in the regular season or the postseason. But I think it's going to take that type of historic effort to outpace the Dodgers over a full 162. And they are on pace so far. And they're doing it right now without Merrill, who we know is going to come back at some point, hopefully soon. And to me, it's like, does the starting pitching hold up for the entire season? Can they get the sort of dynamic, consistent play out of Tatis all year that they've gotten so far? If everything breaks right, I do think the Padres could edge out the Dodgers by a game or two, but everything does have to break right. And for the Dodgers, we've seen that not everything has so far, and yet they still kind of keep rolling, keep churning. So, they can make it close for sure. And I think that either way, they're going to have a legit shot at beating them in the postseason, but it's a question of like health and continuing to roll.
Nobody talked about the Giants going into the season anywhere. What makes them so good, and is it sustainable for the Giants?
To make them good, it's kind of a combination of a bunch of things. I think it's on the field, it's the pitching. They have a lot of young pitching that's been really exciting, whether that's rotation. Their bullpen's one of the most exciting in the league. I'll shout out like Randy Rodriguez and Hayden Birdsong have been incredible for them. And then in terms of the offense, it's been good. And even the guys that haven't been like great so far, like Willy Adames, perfect example. His stats haven't been amazing, but he gives them a walk-off hit against the Mariners a week ago. You can just tell like the kind of veteran leadership and just sort of like calmness he brings to that offense. And I think Chapman did a very similar thing for them last year. And yeah, it's just a very complete team. I don't know if it has the high-end potential of a Dodgers or even a Padres, but I've been really impressed with how they've played so far. And I think while they may not be able to hang with like that 105, 110 win pace that those other two teams could set if everything goes right, I certainly think they can be a wild card team. And so can the D-backs. It's really a crazy division, and I wouldn't want to be the Rockies right now.
NL East, the Mets are on top. What stands out to you in that division? Has the inability to hit finally caught up to the Braves, or do you think they'll turn around this 5-13 start?
Oh man, I mean 5-13 is a pretty big hole, Like we've only been talking about how small a sample size this is, but you'd have to win 8 in a row at this point to get back to 500. You start doing the math over the course of 50, 60 games. How long is it going to take them just to get back to 500 and then get over it enough to make the playoffs? So I'm not saying they can't. And in fact, I was super high on the Braves coming into the season. I thought that, the offensive talent that they have on the roster combined with the eventual returns of Strider and Ronald Acuna were going to make a huge difference for this team. I think if I'm being honest, I wasn't quite ready to admit that Chris Sale might be due for some regression this year. That's one thing that I think is going to play a factor, is everything came together perfectly for him after 7 straight unhealthy seasons. And that takes its toll. He hadn't thrown that many innings in forever. So coming into this year, he's not sharp to start the year, and the rest of their rotation hasn't been either. And they've got a lot to pick up. And yeah, it's like Riley, Olsen, Harris, like you guys are getting paid to be guys in the middle of this lineup. If they can't do that soon, it's going to start to slip away from them a little bit.
What player right now would you say has stuck out the most to you this season that would surprise people? Aaron Judge is being Aaron Judge. You mentioned Tatis. He's doing what he does when he's healthy. What player right now has stood out to you most this season that would surprise people?
I mean, I could give you like the super granular Red Sox answer and say relief pitcher Justin Slayton. I won't quite do that. Shout out to producer Jordan last night. He mentioned Tyler Soderstrom in our text thread, Oakland A's first baseman. As an Oakland resident, I probably won't ever stop saying that. The fact that they now might have their 2 best hitters, both, or maybe not best, but they have Tyler Soderstrom. He's on this historic pace, and yet they still might have to move him to DH to get their other top prospect, Nick Kurtz, in the lineup is kind of a crazy story. That ballpark, also a crazy story. It's been very weird watching 2 baseball teams play in minor league stadiums so far this year. But yeah, I'll go Soderstrom. Paulie's guy Jackson Churio going on a historic pace without any walks until the other day is kind of a fun one. Yeah, I mean, baseball is always full of fun contributors early in the season. It's like, how long can they keep it up for?
Paulie asked you about a surprise player. How about a surprise team? I know we've touched on a few of them. What about the Angels sitting at 9-8? How surprised are you with their start? And again, super early. Is that something you think they could they be a 500 team this year?
I don't think so. I'm not ready to rule it out entirely. But the Angels, I think they were 8-4 at one point, so they're already kind of heading in the wrong direction. Just dropped a series, or I guess they haven't fully dropped the series yet, but they could be swept by the Rangers today. They dropped the series to the Astros. So it's like, once you start playing those teams in your division, you kind of figure out who you really are, and hot starts happen all the time. I remember the Pirates went like 20-8 a couple years ago, and everyone was ready to crown them a playoff team, division champs or whatever. So I'm not like, I hope the Angels have a good season. I just hope Mike Trout stays healthy and continues to hit, home runs and maybe even gets traded sometime. But, it's better for baseball if the Angels are competitive and Trout's in the mix and they have some guys coming back from injury, but I just don't think they have it, especially on the pitching side of the ball, enough to keep up in the playoff race.
I know where he'd look good in left field, but that's just me. Hey, I want to hit you one last one. We've discussed him almost every time we've had you on. Paul Skeens, 2-1, ERA's sub-3 right now. When does Pittsburgh need to move on him? We just saw the Padres sign Merrill, the Blue Jays sign Vlad Jr. When do they have to move on him, and when does he realize I'm a Pittsburgh player and ask out?
It's a tough question. I mean, to answer the first part, they should have moved on him already, and it might already be too late. And if Bob Nutting's not going to put up the money to sign him, then none of it matters. I think, and I heard Jeff Passan talk about this the other day, so I'll give him credit. It's like, if the budget is going to be such a shoestring budget anyway, if you're Ben Cherington, the Pirates GM, why don't you go to ownership and say, what's our 5-year projection for budget? Can we front like $150 million each over the next 2 years and then really go shoestring a couple years after that? Because you just have to try and build a roster around Skeens and just see what that feels like, and see what pushing towards the playoffs with that talented of a young guy feels like. Because you're right, like, he's probably not going to be there the full 6 years. And if he is, like, he really loves Pittsburgh because he gave them some kind of hometown discount, whether or not he admits it or not. So to me, it's first, you have to prove you can win at all just to make sure he wants to stay. And second, like, enjoy the time while you can, because I just don't feel like it stinks. Like, we shouldn't already be talking about this, but it's the Pirates, and they haven't given out a multi-year free agent deal in 8-9 years, and that was Ivan Nova. So what makes us think they're going to shell out enough money to keep Paul Skeens? It just doesn't add up, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's unfortunate that this early we're talking about it, but here we are. Jackson, great stuff as always. Great insight. We appreciate you coming on. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Can't wait.
All right, Jackson Roberts, MLB writer for the Sporting News.
Love chopping it up with Jackson.
Yeah,
baseball makes me happy.
I can tell you're in your happy place when we're talking baseball. We'll take a timeout. When we return, we're going to get back to the sport of football. Kyle McCord appeared on John Gruden's QB camp. We'll play some clips from that. That's on the way next on ESPN Radio.
Who do you give up for Skeens? Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez.
I'd probably give you up for Skeens to get him. I'd probably throw in Paulie Sibilia.
I'd have a no trade on you, Steve. No, you take your potato and stick it where the sun don't shine, right back in the dirt. No Sam Roberts yet. Correct, Tronic, I get it. He'd never desert me. I'd trade Steve, but he would never pass the physical. You need a physical to sit in a chair for 2 hours, and Steve would fail. Yes, he works for WWE and Sirius XM. Sam used to be the producer of a show I did on the radio. And we had a very interesting relationship. It was funny. It was great. He's no Jordan Capozzi, but
who?
Sam Roberts. I said I would trade you, but you wouldn't pass your physical. He's got neck issues.
I do have neck issues. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Can't swing a driver. They don't call them woods anymore. What am I? If you ever meet him again, San Diego Q's, drop my name. He'll be like, who?
Oh, I gotta. Yeah.
If you had a no trade contract and you were a baseball player, what team would be on it?
That I could go to?
You couldn't.
Oh,
that you would rule out. I would never go to the Pirates. I would never want to play in St. Louis. The heat there is freaking unbearable.
It's funny you say I was going to say Royals, but yeah, same idea. I'd want to play with the Rockies and hit home runs.
It's hard to breathe up in that air.
I could get Hunter Goodman's autograph.
You would never win though. Like, it's got to suck to be there because, like, who's the last good pitcher that signed with the Rockies?
Who thought it was a good idea to put a team there?
They sell out a lot.
Do they?
Yeah.
They must have known that was going to happen, though.
I don't think they knew it was going to be that bad. Wasn't it Hampton? Was that who the pitcher that signed there? They didn't trust the science. Never go to the Red Sox. I wouldn't play in L.A. I've grown up hating the Dodgers.
We love L.A.
I messed up, my God. I guess it's called QB class, not camp. My apologies.
Oh, I was trusting you.
No, I...
Sam Roberts is better. I take it back.
Right? He's no junior mint.
That is correct. One of the greatest samples and riffs in hip-hop history, Steve. The Message by Grandmaster Melly Mel and Duke Booty. That's my street name also. Duke Booty. The Message. Can't play the lyrics of that one anymore. Not PC. The Message was very 80s friendly, not 2025 friendly. That makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Jordan has joined us. What a blessing.
He has. He comes bearing sound with John Gruden.
Bearing sound.
Some sound. He did his little QB class thing with McCord that he does with a bunch of the quarterbacks. Now, you know what's going to be good? Gruden, especially since he got with Barstool, where they just kind of let you just go crazy, say what you want. He's very clear about guys he likes.
Yeah.
And he loves McCord. Like when McCord walked into the little session, he's like, teams are going to love you. Keeps calling him perfect. It's really good. I guess I'll start here. I think the big blemish, there are two of them on McCord's draft stock, but I'd say the big one is the Pitt game. I've heard a lot of like weird things about the Pitt game. Like Pitt didn't win another game after that. He threw 5 picks. What the heck happened?
It wasn't good.
No, but Kyle McCord after that went like over 200 attempts without an interception, and he told Gruden what he learned from that game.
Obviously, you still want to be aggressive, but you have to take calculated risks. And so I think that was something for me after that Pitt game. I went back. I was just super critical on myself. Put the ball in harm's way a little too much that game, and just learned from it, and made a lot of strides.
That is crisp audio.
I got good audio.
Yeah, that was great audio.
Do you how much do you worry about that game?
I don't.
I think it was an outlier, and part of that whole. I didn't see the whole thing last night. I watched. I got home from work at like 1 a.m. I watched about 20 minutes.
It was long.
It was long. It was like 40 minutes. I did not get through the entire thing. But one thing that Gruden kept coming back to was his track record, right? He talked about what he did in high school. He talked about what he did at Ohio State. He talked about what he did at Syracuse. And the record speaks for itself. He lost 1 game as the starter at Ohio State. And again, they broke down the interceptions against Michigan, the 2 plays. The first one he blamed on Marvin Harrison Jr., he meaning John Gruden. The second one, McCord was under pressure and didn't make a great throw and got picked off. And then the other outlier is, that was against Michigan. They won the national title. And then the one outlier for a full game was the Pittsburgh game. His track record speaks for itself. He had an off game. He was awful, obviously. But everybody has a bad night, and I truly, truly believe with him that it was the exception, not the rule. And I think that, again, his body of work speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's clearly that. He went on a heater afterwards.
All right, hand up. We're all friends here. These aren't reports. This is just a conversation between bros. Statute of limitation is up. Have you heard has anybody said anything about Pitt supposedly having helmet frequencies? Have you guys heard that rumor? Because it's something that's been tossed around amongst friend groups that I'm in.
I have not heard that, no.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
So they knew what was coming.
Supposedly. I mean, I don't know how you would prove that or whatnot, but it is weird they didn't win a single game after, and McCord threw 5 picks and didn't look like that in any other game.
I find it hard to believe they would have the frequencies because they lock them out. I have to deal with frequencies at NFL places, and
there were issues with them last season though at other stadiums.
They might not be able to hear them and stuff, but I don't think it's possible for you to get on the same frequency unless your helmet is made for that frequency, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why
there's probably a way to steal them, but I used to get a sheet of paper before every game that had all of the coaches' frequencies on them, and I couldn't go near those because it would interfere with the coaches. Now the coaches don't have those because it's some data feed that they get, like almost Bluetooth that you
more
can't,
protected now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a deep dive. But another thing I heard with that is you can see a guy on the pit sideline has a signal for run and a signal for pass. Again, there's a reason it's not reported, hasn't come out, anything like that. But I figured I'd ask the boys, like, is that something people have tossed around to you?
Nope.
Maybe it's poppycock, as the kids would say. The other knock on Kyle McCord, as opposed to other quarterbacks, is the idea that he might not be as mobile as some guys in today's game are. He also responded to that a little bit.
When people see this, I think they think you're a stiff.
Yeah.
I think they think that the perception is what when they see that?
I can't run the ball.
Can't run, can't scramble, can't create.
Yeah.
But the reality is what?
Count sacks as rushing yards in college. So, yeah, a little trick play here.
No, they're just talking about it. What he did, he showed him on the screen, negative 142 rushing yards. And Cord was just like, trick plays, get sacked, it counts against me. How mobile do you really think he is?
He's okay.
You remember Little League McCord, kept getting said last year?
He's more mobile than some, and he's...
Yeah, and I think that he prefers to use his arm to get him out of bad situations.
I don't think his legs are a detriment.
Correct. I'm with you on that. I mean, I don't think it's certainly a strength of his, but I don't think it holds him back per se. I think if he extends a play, he wants to get out of that jam with his arm and make a throw, and he can make all the throws. You look back, and I'm not suggesting he's as good as Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, but those two guys did okay with doing just enough to keep a play alive and to, get out of a situation with their arms. So I think at the next level, while it's good to be able to have escapability and be able to pick up a first down, here and there, if it's like 3rd and 4 and, the pocket breaks down, you're able to, and he can do that. And he showed that at Syracuse, but it's not his ideal scenario. He wants to extend a play and use his arm to pick up the first down and not, and maybe he'll stay healthier like that, to be honest with you, at the next level.
All right. Well, we'll rip one more. I'll let you guys choose. Do you want the wholesome motivational thing he tells the kids who are catching passes from at the end, or do you just want to hear him rip snap counts and play calls and huddle breaks with Gruden?
Real quick, I'm good for both. Devin in our chat brings up there's a part where he talks about checking down. He's like, in the NFL, 70% of these plays should be check downs, and he's like, you don't like to check the ball down, do you? And he threw out a stat last night that I didn't realize. He said that he led the country in terms of 20-plus yard passes traveling 20 or more yards in the air. He led the country in that by a wide margin. I did not realize that. But
can't say I'm surprised. He loved those 20-yard back shoulder throws.
Right, and that was his point. He was like, you don't like checking the ball down, do you? It's like sometimes, it goes back to Tin Cup. I bring this up every once in a while. Sometimes par's good enough to win, right? Sometimes just take the check down, pick up the first down. And that was a big part of it. I'm glad Devin brought that up in our chat, but that was a funny part of the show.
That's what he learned at Ohio State in his first 6 games, taking what the defense gives you. Gruden also called RPO really something terrible, whatever it stood for. It was just the protection's bad. But Gruden doesn't like RPOs. McCord ran a lot of them. I don't know, Paulie. What do you?
I don't know what one you want me to play.
Do you want random snap counts? Or do you want wholesome motivational speech?
Just focus on the process. Don't get caught up in all the social media hype and where they got you going and the drafts and stuff like that. Just focus on the process. Be a great team player, and then the rest will take care of itself. Just take advantage of every opportunity. Don't look at the big picture and get caught up damn, I got to have 1,000 yards.
Didn't think I cut it there. Not gonna lie.
1,000 yards this year. No, just focus on
computer
every day.
Just shut off.
Stacking days on top of the other, and just keep relying on each other. Lean on each other, and you guys are gonna be great. So appreciate you guys for coming out. Of good stuff.
Yeah, it was just this little wholesome message because they have all the guys catching passes from him there, and I was like, that's very Kyle. People love the wholesome stuff.
I love wholesome. I work with wholesome daily.
Right, give us some play calls.
Oh, he just snap counts and yelling and Gruden, and this is just a full experience.
The cord snap count. Come on, let me hear it.
Here you go.
Stand up, put your hands under the table like that's the center.
It's hot. 180. 180's hot.
Perfect. You're perfect. We're going on one. It's bunch right It's 15 crash.
Okay.
Let me hear you.
So, what ain't
It's an all-out blitz.
Hey, easy. We're going Chucky, New York. Here we go. Silva. Sahat.
Perfect. I love you, man. That's excellent.
Gruden,
Are you ever in the huddle?
Yeah, after a dead ball.
Come on, let me.
I love you, man.
I don't know what just happened.
He really does like him a lot.
I don't know. You don't get to hear that stuff a lot, so I just thought it was funny hearing McCord. My favorite part of that is Gruden just, it's an all-out blitz. He's so unhinged. Yeah, Kyle McCord winning people over. You're seeing a lot of Jets and Giants. Neither of those, I would say, are ideal situations. Also pretty easy to connect them there. Playing at Syracuse, Jets fan. What do you think is like ideal for him?
Said he wore number 6, started wearing number 6 because of Mark Sanchez, and he grew up a Jets fan. What do I see for him? I think he's going day 2, and maybe earlier in day 2 than opposed to later. I can't see him cracking the first round, but I think somebody is going to get. You love value. You talk about value all the time when it comes to gambling. I think
value's good.
I think whatever team lands him is going to get great value with that pick.
Herb Street, I think, said today or maybe yesterday, I think today on McAfee, he's like the guy who he thinks is going under the radar, and he's the guy who teams that don't want to take a quarterback day 1 but really want one are going to all be going for on day 2. Like, who knows? Is McCord the guy who you see a team trade up early on day 2 to try to get him? I could see him being a hot commodity, but yeah, it would be tough for him to be first round.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to go in the first round. And I think, we're going to have Max Chadwick on tomorrow, and I talked with him getting ready for our draft special on Channel 9. And, he talked about how this is really a really good draft for offensive skill position players. And so I don't know if a team would use their first-round pick on it. As it stands right now, nobody has 2 first-round picks. So it's not like you get that skill position player and then you can circle back to the quarterback unless there's a trade. So I do think he's a day 2 guy, and I think he might be early on day 2.
Never know, though. I mean, Ward's definitely going first, I'd say, based off his Twitch streams. He's showing all the Titans players.
I saw that.
Like 3 or 4 guys get drafted, a team gets shook, and, they get nervous. They really wanted a QB. You never know. What was it, 6 or 7 last year in the first round? It could happen.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Shedeur, because more and more it sounds like the Browns and the Giants are both going to pass on him. And if they do, how far does he go? Saints, I think, are at 9.
They desperately might need somebody. Although they have young guys on the roster, but you might want something else.
Your Steelers, where they're like 21 or something like that? Where are your Steelers picking? Something like that?
Yeah, that's 21 with the Shedeur Sanders pick is what they're...
Well, right. So I think it's possible he can
I don't want any of the quarterbacks in this class. No offense to Kyle McCord either.
You know what, Kyle?
I think Shedeur has the potential to be high risk, high reward, but I think there is a high risk.
Guys, I'm getting called out by Locked On Syracuse.
What's wrong with Kyle? Yeah, because Zephyr has bad defensive efficiency.
Get the hell out of here with that. He played 3 minutes a game. I said if he's in practice. The kid's not going to play. Like, people are saying, why are we wasting a spot on him? Because you have to. You have to fill your roster, and you want to do it with bigger, stronger kids.
Yeah, he's a depth piece.
He's got bad defensive numbers. He was worse than Carlos. He played 5 minutes, guys. Was he in like waste time? We don't know. For God's sakes.
I wonder what the perception would be if he had averaged similar numbers to Cuff.
Do you think that Syracuse is going to be able to go out and get somebody better than that to be like the 4th guard?
I think at this stage, no. You're right. I mean, I
get
think,
out of here. Like, you're critiquing me on that?
I think they've handed out their playing time, and this is a depth piece fit to me. That's what it seems
they
like.
Might need if they play zone, they might need a big guy at the end of the game.
Although I will say there was a tweet, I forgot the account, when they landed Zephyr, it was can't wait to hear how Paulie glazes this guy or something. And then they found the video and they're like, right on cue. So credit to them.
What do you guys want me to, I am very critical of kids coming into the program. I was last year. This year, I will be. I got to see them play.
I also think there's a little bit of irony missed. I did include the state-run media thing in the clip. I think.
Listen to me, guys. I also said if this kid plays, they're in big trouble. Big trouble.
I think that's fair.
Holy crap. If he's playing over Cayenne Anthony, Fennel, Nathan George, Kings, yeah.
JJ.
Yeah.
Womack's gonna
guys,
do.
he's probably their sixth guard. Shut the F up. They got a guy to come in and be big in practice. That's what I said.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
Let Greg talk
Holy
about McCord.
S.
Let Greg talk about McCord before you scare him away.
No. Just come on, guys. Oh, RJ Lewis had a 5.35 rating last year. Yeah, RJ Lewis played a lot. This kid is, if Syracuse is relying on this kid like RJ Lewis, they're effed. Red Autry, get the hell out of here. Fire him now. If this kid's the guard that plays next year, fire Autry right now.
I promise this, there will not be end-of-season storylines about why Red benched,
Holy crap.
Bryce Zephyr at the end of the game.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to Kyle McCord. Greg in Fayetteville joining us now. Greg, how are you today?
Sorry, Greg.
Hi. I was just thinking that a lot of that blame for the Pittsburgh game, and I hate to beat this to death, has to be on our receivers as well. I watched the game, and I've watched it over again, and I know that one of the interceptions, the defender was laying flat on his back, and the ball bounced way up in the air, just happened to come down in his lap, which was, freaky, but it was, that was, sort of an excuse for McCord. But I remember another one as well was a deflected pass. So, in essence, he had two really bad passes during that game. And I don't hear any discussion about the receivers not being able to catch a ball as well. So that's just my thoughts.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And that was part of, Gruden showing those two picks against Michigan. He pointed out the fact that, the first one was more on Marvin Harrison Jr. than it was on Kyle McCord.
He did all 5 of the Pitt ones, too. He called that first one, Greg was referring to, the luckiest play in Pitt history.
Yes, that was amazing.
There was one where...
the guy caught the ball over his shoulders before it hit the ground. I remember that interception.
One of them, Oronde ran an option route, and they both misread whether the defense was man or zone. Probably could have came back to the ball a little more. I mean, some of them were on McCord, some of them just weren't. But McCord's not going to be
sure.
Yeah, it was
right.
To heck with them.
Paulie, numbers are awful, even though he's purely a depth piece that won't play. He better cost them virtually nothing. All right. You know what we're going to do next? I'm going to compare his defensive numbers to Noah Lobdell, and we'll see if they've improved in that spot on the roster. You morons.
It's hard to hold the guy from getting hands, but maybe this is
Rose just yelled, and now we're going to come back and scooters.
We're way behind.
That said, for everyone out there, if you have that weird feeling in your tummy today of what do we feel about college sports right now? This is why the current system stinks. It's not because the players are getting paid. Let them get paid.
4 to 6 on ESPN Radio Syracuse.
I should have thought. Didn't Noah Abdel only get in for 10 seconds? And the other team probably didn't score? Meaning Noah Abdel probably has significantly better defensive efficiency numbers. Holy crap. Wait, Noah Abdel might be the most efficient defender in the country, dude. Hold on. Hold on.
We stand behind our standard of care for you and your family during the entire process.
Hold on. I need to actually see this. Noah Lobdell defensive efficiency stats. TeamRankings.com. I don't know if we're going to have anything, guys. Not going to have anything. Nope. Tough. That is a great point. I don't know, Devin. I'm going to get nerdy for a second. Hello, Chris. There's a YouTube page, Cultaholic, that does like pitches for the matches. And it just seems like Cena's going to win. The night one main event is what I'm very excited for. But also, my mom loves Metallica and wants to go, so I'm going to have to watch like all of WrestleMania consecutively on Sunday.
I'm sorry.
I don't think Noel Abdel played enough to have defensive efficiency stats.
I'm sorry.
We can look at his Faith Heritage
But
stats.
people don't realize there's no walk-ons anymore.
Hold on.
He's only a junior, too.
Getting called out. He played 20 minutes a game. Getting called out.
Ooh, 19 minutes. Sorry.
19.6, round up.
Yeah, he's a depth piece, guys. I doubt he got millions of dollars.
I heard that's where all the Trevor Pena money's going. Right to Bryce Zephyr.
Oh, my God, you guys.
They're paying Bryce Zephyr $2 million.
Then why do you care about his defensive numbers? Like, if he's playing, the season's completely shot. Like, he's a bigger guard. Like, Syracuse had no size at guard last year. It's the equivalent of saying, like, if Chance Westry was healthy but didn't have play any minutes.
Oh my God, Reggie Jackson just liked our TikTok. Not that, but a Reggie Jackson.
Nice. Where the hell's Steve?
He's probably waiting because you're just yelling.
I'm just so sick of basketball people.
You're just out here yelling.
I gotta yell. I can't do this anymore. I think I had a heart attack in the middle of the last segment.
I think it's really funny, the reaction and just the comment, but Fran Brown going like, if you tamper, I'm not going to tell on you. I'm going to come for you.
Do you know what's going to happen? I can tell you what's going to happen with this kid, too. I will tell you exactly what's going to happen with these idiots in our chat room.
You got Scooter.
Planet Rock, Steve. I am losing my ever-loving mind. Can we just ban Syracuse basketball from our show?
No. That wouldn't be good for business.
Steve, you know what's going to happen, right?
What's going to happen?
Everybody's crapping on me for saying, okay, they got a big guy that come in for practice help, you know. Who's going to be the first caller this year when JJ or somebody has a bad game and they'll be like, well, Zephyr's sitting on the bench doing nothing. We got Zephyr. You know who needs more time? Zephyr. He's gonna, I was looking at Zephyr's tape from Montana State, and he can shoot the 3-ball good. And we missed all our threes this game. We're just wasting Zephyr. We got to take a timeout. We're way behind. Scooter.
Just take Scooter.
Scooter,
first.
for God's sakes. What's up?
Scooter, or
you there? Oh, hold on. Scooter, you there?
I mentioned, I think he's more prepared than Sanders for the NFL. Sanders, to me, is going to be a poor man Murray, I think. The bowl game was supposed to be in the Coronation. They were playing Brigham Young. Nobody opted out. Travis Hunter played, and Brigham Young had him confused from the first play on. And I'm saying you can't break down Brigham Young's defense. Good luck in the NFL, where McCord seems to have the ability to look at the defense and go to the weakness. Now, the Ohio State situation was interesting. Just remember, they brought in a different offensive coordinator for this year. I think it was the head coach of UCLA came in. So I don't think it was just McCord the year before at Ohio State. If that's the case, so they kept their offensive coordinator. I think the problem with McCord is you're afraid to take him high because if it doesn't work out, they're going to get ripped. But think of the people like Donald. They have no loose in this. Kirk Cousins played how many years, and I think they're still playing. He doesn't have any loose in this. I think McCord is going to be a steal, and I'm looking forward to having a better career than Sanders in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think that's and I appreciate you checking in as always, Scooter. I think it is a possibility. I think that Shedeur, it's high risk, high reward, and I think with Kyle McCord, I think there's less risk with Kyle than there is with Shedeur, to be honest with you. I think maybe the ceiling of Shedeur is higher potentially. But I think, we had Andrew Siciliano on our draft show. I told you about that, Paulie, and it's going to air this Saturday if you want to check it out. But he brought up, the other quarterbacks in this draft outside of Cam Warren and Shedeur Sanders, and he threw McCord in the mix, and he said, this is a guy among, 3 or 4 others. He thinks they can come in and win games in the NFL next season. Are they going to be the starter? Probably not. But if your starter goes down, can Kyle McCord come in and win you some games? He feels as though he can. And so I don't think he's alone in that opinion. I think there are a lot of people out there that know what they're talking about that think Kyle McCord can come in and do the job. Is he a starter? Maybe he can develop into one, but I think he's a guy who can come in and can provide you depth as a backup immediately with the potential to be a starter down the road.
Mike McAllister. Bryce Zephyr. I mean, if Locked On Syracuse wants to call people out also, he can call Mike on this one too. While stats may not blow anyone away, what Zephyr brings is versatility and toughness. He's known as a physical defender who can guard the 1 or the 2. Oh, his analytics are bad. Syracuse probably did nothing with analytics or with their GM and just they threw a dart at Montana State's roster and took this kid. Do you think Mike just made that up?
I've never spent a basketball game for the rest of my life.
What did you do with the bird bracket?
To my remembrance, which is pretty shaky, we all know that. After
I tweeted out Friday, I just put it on the desk next to me where it was. But I also checked that bag I put it in to be funny. It wasn't in there either.
We looked in there too.
I'm just curious if I actually left it here and then somebody else threw it away not knowing what it was for.
No, what we think happened is somebody probably saw the notes that Tim Leonard wrote on one side of it and it got tossed out.
That's actually a good, yeah, it's a good hypothesis. Tim, man, he was doing so good. He had to throw it all away with one mistake.
Montana State overall was second best defense in the Mountain Sky Division or whatever they are. Yeah, he's just filling out space. So he just lied to everybody. He just made up that he... What a take. Do you think that's how people, like, in the media work? Like, he was just filling space by saying he's a Oh, so you know he's a subpar defender because you've watched all of Montana State's games. The first rap song to ever make the Billboard charts.
#1, right?
Rapper's Delight. This song reminds me of Dan from the Wildcat now because you ever go to your friend's house and the food just ain't no good? The macaroni tastes like chicken and the chicken tastes like wood or something like that?
Yeah, well, he'll never know because he doesn't eat anybody's food.
Because he had a bad experience.
Right. I get that. I get that.
Jordan's having a good food experience right now. He's killing time while he's chewing food.
There's some pizza here.
Homemade.
I heard. Homemade
Dan
pizza.
would not eat it.
No, I will. It's Alex, though. Alex knows what he's
March 18th tomorrow. So here we go. Now that you guys got me mad.
March? It's
I gotta
April.
calm down.
April.
Oh,
Okay.
my goodness.
Did you just...
Yeah, I just got to calm down. I need a vacation. I really do. The people just angry about a depth piece adding, and maybe just maybe, what if that the guy who helped scout players for the Knicks might know what he's doing a little?
Yeah.
Or maybe he's completely wrong and they all get fired. Everybody, he's big. That's all I said. He's big. It'll help in practice. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was a horrible idea to get this kid.
Like I said, it doesn't really hurt you.
Yeah,
it's a 1-year thing.
It's
and
the equivalent
he's probably
of
not
having
going to play.
Kyle Cuff back, probably.
Yeah. Although he's got a little more
bigger,
size than Kyle Cuff. Yeah.
How about Bush, Public Enemy? This is a no-brainer. Bush, Public Enemy. As soon as I say Aretha Franklin and Morrissey.
You're so over today's show.
I'm over everybody. Why are you angry? Why is everybody so angry? Why can't you just say Fran Brown was on Q Sports Talk or ESPN Syracuse? Why can't you say that? I've been mad since last night.
Yeah.
Just say it. Public Enemy tomorrow.
I want to know why Jordan cares about the Mariners and the Reds, as he's very eagerly looking at his phone.
Because I'm a big Reds fan, Steve. Ellie's got 2 singles. He hasn't tried to steal a base. Come on, Ellie. What happened? Run, buddy. I'll go Public Enemy. I'm mad about the Paulie thing too. I'm mad. Somebody attribute it to the Athletic. The Athletic?
Come on.
Paulie, you're the only one angry. I'm just the guy who pointed out that the depth piece they added is a weak at their biggest weakness. Okay. I'm glad you know how bad the guy from I'm sure you've sat and watched film on Montana State in the past 8 hours since it happened. I'm sure you broke down the film. I'm glad. The only thing I knew is he's big, and they need big guards, and they need depth at the guard position.
That they do, and need to fill out their roster.
Maybe
this is not worth anyone getting angry over.
No,
maybe he's really good at fouling.
There was no need to look at his defensive
I do have to replace my Storovich, so
fouling is very important.
That is true.
Gotta get a good hack.
We didn't even mention Elijah Moore going to Utah, but Elijah Moore's going to Utah.
You want to know what's embarrassing is I had a Jordan.
Come on, we were going to 50, man.
Jordan brought it up. I had a Google where Utah was in the world of conferences.
I didn't know.
I had no idea. They're in the Big 12.
Yeah. All right, we got to go. Newhouse Afternoons coming up next. We are back at it noon tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the day, everybody.